Hello, everyone. My name is Orlin, and I'm the community manager for Harbor. Today is July 28th, and that's our community meeting. Welcome, everyone. As I can see, we don't have a strict agenda for today. So it can be open discussion. I have one topic that I want to share. Let me share my screen at the beginning. Every time I'm having a hard time finding the right window to share. I don't know why. Okay. That's the community meeting notes. So please, everyone, if you can sign in. For your topics. I'll send the link in the chat. So anyone wants to share something today, or I can say something. I'm pasting the link to the community meeting notes in the chat.
I think Alex said he was on a call. He's going to join shortly as well.
Hey, I'm here. I just finished.
Hey. Hi, Alex.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, so Alex, do you have something to talk about?
I don't know if Xiaoling is around, but Wang Yan is here, and yeah, I was looking at the 2.4 items. I think we'll have a more meaningful update for the next one. We'll have something to demo for the tracing work that we're doing with open telemetry, as well as the Prometheus stuff. I think, it's just right now we're at a point in the release where we just got finished planning with everything we're going to do for 2.4. So take a look at the 2.4 project board. That should reflect, I think, at least the majority of the issues that will be in the 2.4 release. And then we need to further break these out into different stories, but those are the epics or the themes. Hey, Wang Yan, I wonder if you can talk about the stuff that we're doing for ARM and the work that we've been doing with Alada, because I think I've mentioned a couple of times, but ultimately we weren't able to get anything released, right? There was nothing released in the 2.3, slipped into 2.4, and maybe for the folks that were interested, because I have seen some tickets in the past on, when are you going to have an ARM build of Harbor? What is their thinking here? And is it going to be released under the Harbor repo, the Harbor project, or is it going to be under some other project? And how are we thinking about this?
Actually, we do not have any a lot of update about the ARM, because the contributor are based on their company's business strategy. So we just skip recent several weeks
Okay.
meeting. But the basically we wanna to ship Harbor ARM align with the 2.4 release, and the contributors will prioritize their task in the next months. But recently we do not have any update about any progress on the Harbor ARM.
Okay, and is it something we're going to put into Harbor, Project Harbor, or is it going to go into their own GitHub repo?
We have already created a sub project in the Go Harbor repo. Which
Okay.
name is the Harbor arm?
All right. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for the update. I haven't been involved in this so much. So for those that don't know, there's a company called Alada, which is a cloud cloud company in China that's been driving this with us previously. But like Lion said, they've been busy with their own work for some time. Thanks, Tana. Thanks for linking the repository. Yeah, so I mean, this is much more of a status update for now, Jonas and Orlin. There's nothing to demo for this one, but I think for next one we'll have something planned. I think we'll go over the proposal at the very least for how we're thinking about adding tracing, right? So you can look at a request as it makes its way through the various components in Harbor, and we're thinking about this mostly for identifying bottlenecks in Harbor today and just making Harbor run faster and better, right? And we have some real performance needs around when Harbor is used for edge cases, right? And we're working on a Harbor Lite that, Harbor today is basically just a series of pods that you deploy, right? But Harbor Lite, when you deploy onto an edge site, you potentially don't need all of the features that exist in Harbor today, right? Presumably, the edge nodes are controlled. The image on the edge nodes, everything on the edge nodes, right? They're pushed down from a central Harbor. So you've already done your security analysis, right? Your image scanning and your signing, and all the policies around that, and you're pushing down, through a headless service through Harbor application, and so we're really, there's a lot of performance related work that's going on right now, and we're thinking about how to make our replication much more resilient, much more scalable, right? We know we can configure two replications between a Harbor instance and another registry, but we've never really tested the use case where you have like a hub spoke deployment of a central Harbor, right? A central Harbor that is the Harbor that exists today, and then replicating out to a series of Harbor Lights on different edge sites, right? And if you think about this for retail, right? When we talk about edge, we're talking about retail, something like UPS or Starbucks. We're potentially looking at anywhere between 100 Harbor instances on edge nodes to possibly 1,000 or 10,000. And so that's kind of the scale that we're dealing with. That's kind of the forward-looking kind of performance needs that we have right now. So anything else? Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Is that we don't have the use case for now? I mean, from any company that needs that functionality, or nobody has set it up so far like this?
They've set it up just like I've talked about. We have worked with this is a customer of VMware, and I think through that customer we've really been shaping and driving some of these requirements around Harbor Light. But that's something we're going to be releasing for the OSS community, like I said. But yeah, I mean basically the use case with Edge right now is that the Harbor instance on the Edge site does not have to be full featured, right? It does not have to have all the compelling features that exist in Harbor today, because there's a single persona behind that, right? Like all the different personas that we have in Harbor today, with guest and developer, project admin, system admin. There's you don't need that many personas on the Edge site because it's operated by a single person, and so that's going to be a much lighter, a much more stripped down version of Harbor. And the biggest concern, or the biggest thing that we have to be careful about right now is really the replication, right? Because with Edge sites, they're not 24/7 highly available, right? They might go down. If what happens if you're doing replication and that site goes down, sometimes these retail sites don't get powered back up until maybe hours or 24 hours later. And ideally, the hard replication should be resilient enough that it just picks up where it left off, right? Which it can't do, right? It can't do that right now. So yeah, the replication is like the biggest improvements that we need right now, I think. And then we have to make Harbor smaller for it to run on the edge site, right? Harbor right now is too big. It takes too much memory. It takes too much CPU. And we've heard typically on an edge site, we're working with anywhere between a 1U to maybe likely a 2U, right? Possibly a 4U server, right? Just a single server or 2 servers on in half a rack of hardware space, and that has to run the entire Kubernetes distro, right? Plus the hardware registry, so it's shared with the rest of your stack, right? If it's obviously if it's a VMware stack, VMware customers, there's the VMware software data center, but if you're using another Kubernetes distribution, possibly Rancher or Anthos or OpenShift or some other DIY cloud, then it's the same problem, right? You can't. It's not just running a Harbor; it's running Harbor plus the rest of your Kubernetes stack. And so Harbor, as it exists today, is way too big for that, and there's no need for it to be, to take that much resources, because a lot of these features, I think, won't get leveraged very heavily. I don't think customers will be pushing, from the edge site to the central Harbor. It's going to be one way for a lot of these applications, for a lot of these actions, and they have to be centrally gated, scanned, signed, and then they're pushed out to the edge sites. So that's kind of the assumptions that we're working with. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that's really all I wanted to share. Anything else from you guys, or we can just open up for discussion or anything that you want to chat about?
I wanted to bring the topic about the notification for the new releases, like the one from the other day. Yeah, I really like. I really want to do more often notifications. So even for the minor releases. So can we work on some kind of process how we can get like notification internally for the Harbor team, and then I can work on the notification through the mailing list, Twitter, or whatever. Because those minor releases are not scheduled regularly, right? They're on demand, pretty much.
Yeah, you're talking about the patch releases, right? The dot 2.2.3 that, or 2.1.6 that went out, for example.
Yep.
So there is a Harbor channel within our company Slack that gets notified from different CI runs, but I don't think it's limited to just. I don't think it's the action of uploading it to GitHub. It's really, we produce a successful build, but that kind of, it's a precursor to what's about to happen, right? You can use that as to kind of know that, hey, we're getting ready to release a build. And then, hey, Wang, is there a way to send a notification to Slack every time, or to email every time you push a release onto GitHub?
You mean the webhook and the releases tag?
Some kind of a webhook, yeah.
To the Slack channel, you mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, Orlin is thinking about how can he get alerted, right? Because he's not in our internal engineering channel. he's in Project Harbor. Maybe, or maybe we can announce it in the Project Harbor channel as soon as you upload the container images, or you release on GitHub.
So I can try to refer to other CNCF projects to know how they're notify users about their release bills and released and GitHub. But actually, as I know, they just send up a message in their Slack channel, and just
Right, but I think yeah, the message you're seeing, I think, is already, it's a manual action, right? It's someone who knows the release is coming. He writes a message.
Yeah.
Is there a way to
automatically, you mean?
yeah, automatically? I guess you're not doing that right now, right? Because
Yeah.
every time you release, you tell us in the Harbor,
Yeah.
in the internal channel. But yeah, how does Orlin get notified immediately?
Can't we just have that in the release process?
Yeah,
As a manual task there. Whenever there's a release, make sure that we announce that in the public channel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just codify it, right? I mean, even though it's manual,
Yeah.
if we can't do it automatically, just codify it. Then
Yeah.
we always release. We always announce patch releases now. I think it would be. I agree with Orlin. This would be nice.
Okay.
Typically, we only did minor releases, but patch releases are important. Sometimes they have an important fix. Like there's the 2.2, right? There's one that fixes the notary issue, which is significant. A lot of people might not even know about it. So to get notified would be nice.
Okay.
And from community standpoint of view, it's more engaging to show that you release often, and people can be more engaged in to follow that. So, like, at least when I'm using some software, if I get notified that new releases are coming up, and not to follow specifically a website or something, but like through Twitter, engages me more in general. So I think we can apply that. And I'm gonna look if we can find some way when we do the release on GitHub to webhook it to the public channel in Slack, and then we can kick off the rest of the process of Twitter and stuff manually. But until then, I think it would be great if we can update the process for menu notification in channel, whoever is doing the release this time.
Yeah, it's perfect. Wang here. He's our release engineer. So yeah, let's think about this, Wang. If we can't make it automatic, then
It's doable to send out a notification into the Slack channel whenever we have a patch or a major release. So
okay, you mean it's doable automatically?
yeah, send out a message notification into the Slack channel.
Okay.
I will have an investigation about how to do that. It's doable.
Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the to discuss a way how we can get more organizations to contribute in terms of to kind of distribute the work, not to be so VMware centric. Because I was doing that analysis of the elephant factor for Harbor, and it's currently 1, which means the 90% of work is done by somehow represented by VMware employees, which personally, as a community manager, I'm going to focus on this one if I can attract more organizations to contribute and to be more active. And as we spoke with these guys, Alex, the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Hello?
I have a quick question. How did you, how are you getting this metric of 1? Because I know the OVH guys have still been pretty active with the operator. They didn't make consistent contributions. But how is it
Yeah.
getting measured?
The measurement, I did it through, to be honest, will you correct me about the name, but what is that? Byte Gira?
Liturgia.
But yeah, all right. And yeah, by getting the data out of GitHub and calculating the elephant factor. So it's very simple calculation, but for now it's so it's a ratio between total commits and commits made by the first 1 or 2 company organizations, and VMware is far more exceeding the number than anyone else combined.
Yeah, I would think so. All right.
Yeah. So which is not necessarily a bad thing, but in terms of growing the project outside of the only VMware influence, I think we should put some effort there, and that's in my task list for the next month. If I can attract, so I'm gonna practically approach some organizations, and so try to convince them to be more active and to put some more effort in contributing in different ways, not only by code, but documentation and more test cases and more like a practical examples of implementing Harbor.
That
So we
sounds
can
good.
have a bit
Yep.
more, yeah, more diverse picture. That's my idea in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like the external contributions, they're not consistent enough, right? And this is not to blame anyone, but I think this has really been something that we've struggled with. We try to be mindful of everyone's responsibilities within their own companies, right? Not everyone is getting compensated to actually work on Harbor, but yeah, I feel like it comes and goes. There were releases over the last 2 years that they were filled with external contributions at times. And then there were other releases where it was very hard to get something going, right? And I think we have certain dates that we've committed to, right? And that forces us to sort of draw a cutoff date for when features can get merged, because it impacts our ability to release on time, right? We always try to release an RC build right before KubeCon, and then we try to GA after that, and then we have downstream integrations, right, that relies on this. And so sometimes we're not able to get the originally planned work that we wanted to release in the Harbor, in a particular Harbor release, right? And they get pushed out, and sometimes they never get completed. And I just wonder, how do we, like you said, how do we first of all, get more contributors to come to the table, and then also how do we work with them a little better to make sure that what's being discussed is actually getting implemented and follow through to the very end, right? And without sacrificing code quality, without sacrificing their own responsibilities on other projects. So just being able to strike a balance, but also getting more contributions. I will say that in the last 2 releases, it was extremely VMware heavy. Yeah, I think most of the stuff that we released in 2.3 and 2.2 were implemented by us. and the ARM stuff that we just talked about, right? This is a perfect example of when they get something else within their own company, then obviously that's of the utmost importance in the Harbor. The OS stuff unfortunately suffers. I think it obviously works best if they're working on something that depends on their work on Harbor or is tied to their work in Harbor in a big way, right? That's stuff that they work on for their employers. And so I think this is not to be disparaging in any way, but I think one of the ways we can do this is just sort of lay out the the goals with what we're trying to do with these work streams with external contributors, right? And just be very clear on what they need and why they need it ultimately, and how does that impact their product, some of their integrations and things like that. I found those kind of partnerships to be the most fruitful is when exactly what everyone is coming to you, what they're coming to you for and why they need this feature to be implemented in a certain way.
Alex, you're touching on something that Tianon wrote here in the chat. Where are those things communicated? We need to update the roadmap. It's severely out of date right now. So it's our commitment to the community when we publish the roadmap, so everyone knows what we're working on, and that makes it easier for people to contribute as well. Because otherwise, if they don't know what we're working on, they don't know if they can contribute. So having the roadmap updated, linking out to proper tracking issues for new features or milestones or epics or what have you is super important.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I'll update those this week. So right now, the only way, I think it's just a project board. The project board is reflecting, the major work streams in a particular release, and then we use the project board, but we also use the milestones. The milestone label on the issue is actually tells you exactly, if it's being worked on in the next 2 weeks, right? If it's in active development, that's really it. I don't think we have anything else that addresses what Tian is asking for. Yeah, and I think I need to write like a goals or philosophy document that kind of highlights where the project is going, because the project, I feel like, has taken off pretty well, but yeah, there are some major themes in the future as we think about expanding into Harbor as a service, Harbor for Edge, other distributions of Harbor like Harbor ARM and things like that. And I think it's going to be all the feature work that we're doing are still really important, but I feel like that's almost just one thing, right? That's just feature work for Harbor, and there are all these other larger themes here that we need to lay out for the community. Yeah, so like Lion said, we use the target /2.4 to show that it's going to be part of a release, right? But we also use the milestone. There's another label on the issue that tracks the actual milestone.
Talking about this one, it's sprint stuff. I don't know.
Sorry, yeah, sprint. Filter by milestones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's milestone, and so those sprints, how they correlate to releases.
The sprint is just 2 weeks. It's not possible to see. I don't think it's possible to see which sprints are in a particular release, but those are roughly the dates for the sprints. So you can see what's being worked on, in the next 2 weeks or next 4 weeks, basically. And the project board is really for, issues. It's for, feature requests, it's for issues, it's for bugs, etc. But
sorry, you have to go to the Go Harbor revo and the project board for and the Go Harbor. All the items. Yeah, the project. Yeah, you can get the items that target for 2.4. All the major features are here. Yeah, you can also find something completed for 2.2 or 2.7, 2.3, and what we are working on the 2.4, and something in the backlog. Yeah, this actually a roadmap for the major releases.
And Alex, to do the roadmap, you're kind of extracting that from here, or it's the other way around?
There's no particular order between these two. It's just the project board is used to kind of get a view of, the major features planned for release, and then the roadmap or things we'll be doing, 6 months out or a year out. So I think in the roadmap, we'll talk about things that definitely will not be in 2.4. It's going to be in 2.5 or 2.6. And it's whatever we have, right? It's whatever our current state of mind is for the future. So it should have at least some stuff in 2.4, but it'll have a lot more stuff for the longer term. The stuff we're dealing with the operator right now. We've made some major changes to the operator, and then Harbor, being Harbor used for edge deployments, as well as some things we need for to run as a service.
And about this one, about the edge, do we have it like a requirement from specific organization that they want to have it, and we just start working on it? Or
it's a
by we, I mean,
yeah,
by we, I mean the whole development team, not regarding to company, but in general, everyone working on the project.
So it's not everyone on the development team working on it. It's just 1 or 2 people working on it right now. Yeah, we needed it for edge and downstream. That was really the big motivation. So I'm talking about VMware in this case. They have a real need around a Harbor Light for edge deployments. And that's kind of where we've taken our cues and been, hashing out the requirements. But yeah, I'm happy to chat about this on the community call as well. I have thought about this before, but not, to a really with a really detailed proposal, because it's in flux for downstream as well. It's just, I don't know if you've heard, but right, we talk about this all the time in Tanzu. So, but there's not a set of deliverables at this time.
Okay, I'm asking because as far as I know, for example, companies like Ericsson, they deploy a lot of stuff in their edge. And I know that we have people from Ericsson engaged with Harbor, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe we can, just an idea, we can approach them to collaborate on this one, because inevitably they'll need that functionality as well if they're aiming towards Harbor to be in production use. for their edge solution, for example.
Okay, can you reach out and let me know?
Mhm.
I'm happy to chat about it with someone from Ericsson, or we can have them come to this call and talk about it.
Yep. Yep.
We're also using a hybrid edge in a few cases.
But then that doesn't mean that you're kind of interested in contributing to that functionality in terms of code and
Definitely, yes. We have multiple use cases where we're using hybrid edge. Actually, 2 customers,
Mhm.
at the moment they're using, or they're building solution already, so that they're not using, they're building already something themselves.
so they kind of work on extending their practically developing their own solution with Harbor and Edge, that functionality, and they're doing it on their own, or
I mean, there would be both of the customers would be happy to contribute to Harbor, so it's not something they do on secret.
great.
But we need to know the requirement and the scope currently, because I've asked already. We need to know, okay, what is the status, like the proposal, where we can contribute on first on a document basis, and then see, okay, what other customers have, and how can this be adapted what they have and what they're working on, because it's not yet ready. And they mostly one is using multiple Harbor instances, full blown one, and the other one has kind of a more customized version. So what is the requirements, what are we trying to do, and then we can put it in the document first and see how each customer can contribute.
That's great. And Alex, how we can drive that one? I mean, what is the, sorry, maybe I'm asking stupid questions, but how it's working to set up this kind of discussion and start, like as Vadim said, contributing to the proposal and the actual idea of implementation.
So we can set up a working group. It's basically like just a small, group of users that work on this feature. We don't have one for Edge yet, right? We have working groups related to performance and the operator, previously on replication and image scanning, etc. So I can, let's chat offline and let's get this set up if everyone's interested.
Yeah, sounds
I can,
great.
we can start with, us sharing our requirements and how we are thinking about this, right? I shared some of that earlier, but.
Or we'll do something like the Kubernetes equivalent, like the KEP, and everyone can contribute to this one. Is that the process? And then the working group can start working on it?
Yeah, it's a KEP, or it's a series of KEPs. But yeah, we pushed a proposal to the community repo, and we don't have a process to really, for people to vote on it. I think we just internally, get consensus, and then, we're fairly good with making sure everyone's comfortable and aligned, right? And then we just start working on it.
Great. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you can, or then collect, the people that are interested, and yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah, I'll create a pool in the Slack channel. Who wants to participate in that discussion, and then we can chat with you how to set up the working group and the proposal document and kick it off. If that's okay for everyone. Good.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Thanks.
Okay. Those are all my topics. Anyone else wants to cover some topics? Okay, then. Thank you everyone for participating today, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.